Okay, I'm excited. I got my red ball like Venus, and what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be reacting to a very popular serve video that has over 700,000 views. And if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Peter Freeman. I'm an online tennis instructor, and I love to teach the serve as well. So definitely make sure you subscribe to Venus's channel. She's doing more and more online instruction, which I think is awesome. And subscribe to my channel too, because I love to teach the serve. And so let's get right into this video. This is a really awesome video, so here we go.
All right, guess what we're doing today? We're serving. We're out here on the course. It's a great day, sun's shining, and I'm excited to be with you today so that way we can learn how to serve. So today what we're doing, just a basic serve.
So she's teaching the basics of how to serve.
Just the basics of serving, so that way you can have a consistent serve that you can rely on, because under pressure, when we get a little nervous, we want to be able to get it in, right? Am I right or am I wrong? Okay, so I'm really excited to teach you these basics, and it's going to be easy. All it requires is for you to try it and for you to practice. And there are going to be more videos like this, so make sure that you hit subscribe and hit notifications so that way you'll know when this new content's coming out and you have an opportunity to improve your game. Okay, so what's most important? How does a serve start?
So first of all, I just love her start. She's got the smile. She's so nice, warm, and friendly on camera. And she's saying, hey, this is going to be easy. This is going to be fun. And that's really what tennis is all about. So awesome start from Venus. And I'm super excited about this video.
So we have to have the right grip. So I'm going to show you the grips. Now, one common mistake that the newbies start with, and sometimes people who are not newbies but they've kept the habits of a newbie, is starting with the wrong grip. So the most comfortable grip on the serve, the go-to, and it's wrong. It's a Western grip, and that's the kind of grip we're using typically on a forehand. So then it feels really comfortable to keep that same grip and use it on a serve. No. Why? I'm going to tell you why. Because on a serve, what we want to do is when we get into this position here, which I'm going to show you later, we want that racket to be on edge. And right now, it's like a frying pan or a pancake. Do you see the position of that racket? What we want is that racket to be on edge in this way. Do you see the edge of the racket? Yes, we want.
Okay, that's really awesome start from Venus, saying that most recreational players start in the wrong grip. They start in the frying pan grip. She says because you have the forehand, so it's natural to do the serve. But another thing just to add to that, just so, because all the coaches like Venus, like myself, are always going to say, hey, that's a wrong grip. But I don't want you to think there's something wrong with you, because it makes common sense. You're trying to put the ball over the net, and so it makes the most sense to face the strings to the target and start hitting it in. It's very easy to start a match. And there's lots of recreational players, let's face it, coming here and tapping the ball in and winning a ton of matches. So you don't necessarily have to change the grip. But if you want to serve like Venus, where she's talking about serving on edge, which is harder in the beginning, I'm not going to lie to you, it's harder to serve on edge in the beginning, but if you want to serve like her, where you have power and you have spin, you see that ball curved, you want that continental grip because it allows you to swing fast and still spin the ball in. You can hit kick, you can hit slice, you can hit flat. So you can go a lot further with the grip she's talking about, and going up on the edge. I like to call it the edge of power. And you watch the pros play, they're always attacking the ball, not with the center of their strings, but with the edges of their rackets. Okay, let's continue.
Yes, we want that racket to be on edge, and we want this wrist to be cocked. If you have that grip, the wrist is flat and the racket is flat. So this is all wrong. You won't be able to hit each direction, and you won't be able to produce spin. And you need to be able to produce some spin on the serve to control it and get it into the box. So this is why we don't want that grip. The grip you do want is an Eastern grip, which is what we use on our volleys, what we use on our backhand. So the Eastern grip, the racket has these bevels here. There's a bevel on the left, bevel on the right. We're going to want to use that bevel on the left. We're going to put our thumb knuckle on the bevel on the left, and then just slide it over a little bit too. And once we get there. Okay,
so interesting. She's saying that the serve grip, she prefers the Eastern grip. And so it'd be interesting if there's any advanced players out there, any coaches out there. What do you think? Do you like to teach the continental grip, or do you like to teach the Eastern grip? So the Eastern grip is going to give you more spin. It will give you even more spin. So I'm just going to show you right here. To find the continental grip, I just basically take like the webbing in my hand and I put it right here and I run it down, and other people call it the chopper grip, because like you can chop right there. chop your edge right into the camera. But she's going a little further than that. She's going continental and then moving it even a little further to an Eastern grip, which you're going to see one-handers hit with their top spin. And doing that enables you to get even more spin. Okay, for some of you, you might feel like you're losing some power, but you're definitely getting more spin on the ball. Like, look at that, that's crazy spin. So Eastern grip helps you get, look at that, crazy spin. Good tip, Venus. So that gives you more spin, maybe a little less power in the beginning for some of you feeling it out. But the spin, you win with spin, especially your second serve. You want to learn how to spin that second serve. So interesting that she's teaching you the Eastern grip rather than continental. You'll find most coaches go right away to their students that continental. She's going maybe a little more advanced, saying, hey, let's try an Eastern grip for your serve.
There, we've got the Eastern grip, so I'm going to show you that grip, what that looks like.
That's going to open up the strings more.
On the bevel on the left, but probably on that little crest there, the ridge. Okay, that's our grip. Now, our finger is also, we don't want to fist. We want to move that index finger up a little bit, and what is that going to do? It's going to enable us to move the ball around. So when the grip is like this, you're not going to be able to.
I love that. You know, she's getting us some really good details that a lot of coaches out there are not going to teach in the beginning, are not going to notice. She's saying, besides the grip, you don't want your hand bunched up here in a fist. You want, a lot of coaches will call this the trigger finger. You want that trigger finger separated so that you have more control over the ball. You're able to snap it more. The more you're holding it like this, it's gonna reduce your mobility in your hand, in every part of that arm motion. Holding it too tight in here is gonna make you tight. It's gonna limit your range of motion, your feel and control over the ball. So that's a nice little subtle tip she's given right there. So make sure to follow it out there. And subscribe to Venus's channel.
At home, you can see that it's harder to use the wrist. When we have it up here, we can use that wrist to direct the ball in whichever direction we'd like it to go into. Okay, so those are the basics on the grip. Next, we're gonna have to actually toss the ball up into the air so we can get going. So what a lot of people do is that they put that ball into the palm of their hand and they grip it to, you know, their life depended on it. You don't want to do that. You want to hold it like an ice cream cone in the tips of your fingers right here. That's all you got to do. Would you squeeze an ice cream cone? No. I like ice cream. You like ice cream. You want to eat that ice cream, so you don't want to squeeze it until it's done. All right, now that we have those basics.
I love how she is just so fun, so relatable. Use the ice cream cone. We all love ice cream, and use it in your fingertips. I got my special Venus ball here, and that's super important because when you do have it in your palm, you tend to kind of start flicking your ball, and your arm also is bent. You want to make sure it's straight. Maybe she's going to get to that. But in the fingertips, you're going to have more control when you release that toss. And the toss is really something you need to work on because a lot of people think it's just so easy, you're just throwing the ball up there. But if you play tennis for any amount of time, you'll find, especially when you get nervous, that tossing gets really hard to control the ball. And if it's in your hand like this, like she's talking about, you're going to feel less control over the ball. So you definitely want in those fingertips. Another awesome tip. And let's continue.
All right, now that we have those basics, I want to show you one last thing before we step to the baseline and show you some more in the service position. What you're going to do is keep that arm straight when we put the toss up. So that arm is going to be straight. A lot of times what people do is they're bending the arm as they toss. So guess what happens? The toss goes everywhere. And then you're chasing the ball. You can't chase the ball when you serve. It's got to be right where you want it. It's got to actually be in the same place every time. And the way that we can ensure that is to keep that ball on our fingertips and then release. So it's just a release as your arm goes straight up. It's a release. Okay? So we just release it and it goes straight up to that same position. So it's a release, it goes straight up into that.
Okay, so I want to give you another tip. She's talking about the release. I want to give you another tip that's maybe going to help you even a little more, because I used to, and it was kind of crazy, I was a director at a club in San Jose, and I would get nervous when I play the club matches and my toss would go all over the place. So it's also important when you release. So I heard this one tip from a USPTA instructor saying the nose always knows, to release at the nose. I thought, what a great tip. I think that's going to work for me. So I focused on that. So when I get to about the height of my nose, that's when I want to do the Venus release, okay? So you get to your nose, release the ball, then it will be there for you, and it's a lot easier to hit. Because if you release too early, the ball is going to fly out there. If you hold on to it slightly too long, the ball is going to be behind you. So the release timing is also very critical to hitting a big serve that's consistent.
It goes straight up into that same position every time, makes it reliable. Okay, so let's talk about our foot positioning and how we move our feet. Super important as well. Every step is important. So what we're going to do is, just for you basic beginners, take that foot and point it toward the net post on this side of the net. Okay? Lots of people serve differently. Some serve a little bit this way. But for the basics, let's do that. And then we're going to talk about how our feet move. So if you're a beginner, you're going to want to not move your feet. You're going to want to just throw that toss up like we talked about, and we're going to bend our knees and then explode into the serve from there. Some others, once you've learned how to serve, you feel more comfortable and you want to change, then we're taking a step. I personally take a step on my serve. So what's important about taking a step on the serve is that the step is taken right. So we want to make sure that we don't step past our toes. So we don't want to step out here. This we don't want to do. We don't want to step past our toes, so we're going to step more like this. And what's also important is...
Okay, so she's hitting a lot of super important points with the stance. Again, stance is something people overlook. And she's talking about two basic stances. She's talking about a platform stance, which is like this. You're staying like this and the feet don't move. This is what Federer does. And then she's talking about a pinpoint stance where you slide up. That's what she does. I like to do that as well. Some people just find that there's more rhythm when you do that, but either is fine. But I do like, as a beginner, when you're going, because the more you just kind of move your body parts, it's going to be tough to control the ball. So I like her tip in the beginning, just keep your foot still. The other thing I would recommend is don't lock this back hip up though. So you're keeping this still, but make sure, kind of like a golfer when they're driving their shot down the fairway, or a boxer when they're punching, you want to make sure that this is relaxed and loose and moving with the flow of the serve. You see how I turn my toe in that? Then you're going to find power and control. And this is where you can also kind of control different parts of the box. So make sure you're using that hip when you're doing the tips that she's giving right here.
And what's also important is that this foot is also right behind the other foot. So you don't want that foot out here or out here when you start. You want to start that foot right behind you and then take that step this way. So now we know how we're stepping and we know how we're tossing, and we want to make sure we keep our shoulders closed. And I'll tell you why. So we've got our feet in the right position, and we're starting to take our arm back, we're getting our toss up, and we want our shoulder turned. There's a few reasons for that. First of all, the shoulder turn helps us to have power. Just imagine you're using your whole upper body to turn into this ball. So you're able to use your body for power. And as importantly, we're also able to use this as a disguise. When you keep your shoulder closed as long as possible, and this is a little more advanced, so you may not need this at the moment, but you'll need this as you advance. That's why we're going to keep our shoulders closed as long as possible before we get there. So we want to start with our shoulders closed. Also, when we open up too soon, we lose control of the ball. So you're going to start to see some wild serves, like flying all over the place, which is something we don't want. So we got shoulder time, we got all this toss, we got the footwork. So this is where we are now.
So I love that she's talking about holding the shoulders, because that's another big move that, like she said, a lot of recreational players, they're going to open up and you're going to lose that power and control. One thing you can do to help that is pay attention to your offhand here. Okay, when you watch the pros finish, they finish in two basic ways. You'll see some players like an Andy Roddick or an Andy Murray, their arms out here when they're done. They'll serve, they'll land, they'll come down, and you'll see this. But you'll see a lot of other players tuck. And I like the tuck in the beginning for players who feel like they open up too much. So use this tuck. I tuck my arm in here. I want to hold this arm up as long as possible, but then when I'm done, I'm going to tuck in here. That will help you hold longer on your serve. You see I tucked in there, and when I'm done, I'm like this, okay? Like you're almost giving yourself a hug. So think about that. If you know that when she said, oh, I feel like I might be opening up too much, practice that tuck move. That might help you.
A swing of what this all looks like put together. Last but not least, you're going to want to make sure you recover after you serve. You can't just look and admire it. You got to recover because that ball's coming back. And especially if it comes back right at you, you got to be ready. So after you serve, you want to make sure you get back and then recover. Super, super important. And enjoy it, okay? So let's do some demonstration of the serve.
Okay, great. So just finished up the video, she talked about recovering. I think that's so important. You see so many recreational players come out there with a basketball, they work on their serve, and their landing is a mess, and they're not realizing that even if you hit an amazing serve, you hit a bomb serve, boom, but you land like this, and then you walk back to your basket, you're reinforcing your bad balance at the end. And most recreational players are going to miss within the first 4 shots. So that's a serve, a return, a hit, and then another hit. So a lot of these misses are coming right after the return comes back because you're not ready for the next ball. So when you bring out your basket, make sure you're serving and doing that recovery move like Venus talked about. Okay, so she finishes with some demos. So what we're going to finish with is her doing her demo here, but also some of her best serves on tour. I really enjoyed doing this reaction video. Venus, I hope you like me doing this video. Give this a thumbs up, if you will, guys. Share this, and make sure you go over to Venus's channel, subscribe. If you like this video that I did, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Great job, Venus. Look forward to more instructional videos from you. Take care, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Give you a few cheat points, a few unforced errors more frequently.
Ace. What a